Speakers on StreamYard sound like they're working, so have a great show. Speakers on StreamYard sound like they're working, so have a great show. It's a very 70-ish kind of computer audio test that StreamYard is running. It's a little sappy. Good morning. I hope you guys are all doing well, and happy Halloween to you all. Happy Ghouls Day, and happy birthday to someone important in my life. So, critters, how are you? Hey, Vicki Carpenter, you're the winner this morning, Vicki. I hope all is well. Hey, Elizabeth. Yeah, so it's 11 o'clock, well, 10:45, so getting close to, I guess it's getting close to noon for people on the East Coast, right? So, hey, Donna Burns, Jackie Hughes. Hey, Loveland, I love your name. Hey, Patriot Angel, welcome. So glad you're here. Hey, Jennifer Lawton, good to see you. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and get into this. Couple of things. The reason I wanted to hurry up and go ahead and do the live this morning because it is non-Halloween related. Okay. Hi, Rhonda Grace Exploring. How are you? Maybe later on tonight, I'll do something unless I can find a cool live stream. Now, last night, if you guys missed it, you missed a really great fun time. Okay. We had a great time over in AK Rock's channel. So he actually went live and had a panel of people. So I don't know if that was his first panel. I think it was, but anyway, and unfortunately, of course, I had computer problems, so I was only able to communicate for a short time. I don't know if Gonzo ever got his work in. He was somewhere where there was some pretty poor reception. But oh my God, there were so many great people, and it was hilarious. It was a very long live, and so if you didn't watch it, you should go over and watch it. We had a really great time. It really, really, really great. It's a great group of people. These are okay, so there were a lot of people there from our community, but there were a great number of people from this group that AK and his friends have all put together where they're actually searching for people. A lot of these people congregate on Twitter. They were there. So we made lots of new friends, and it was completely fun. It was great. It was so much fun. And there's a man, Scientific Skeptic, I adore. If you have not watched any of his YouTube channel, please, you've got to. Like, it's a must. It's called The Scientific Skeptic. He is brilliant, and he is damn funny. So between AK and the Scientific Skeptic and everybody, BZ Mama was there, and we just had so much fun. It was great. I ate a whole bag of popcorn watching these people act so goofy and silly. It was amazing. It's truly fun. So I don't know. I think AK was going to be a fool if he doesn't, try to go live a little more often, because he's a kind, he's well spoken, and the people that he knows are really interesting people, and I just think it would be a really successful channel. I think it would, but for sure, the Scientific Skeptic, you got to go over and watch him. He's amazing. All right, so I'll get their links, or maybe Critters can pick up their links and drop them in the chat while I'm kind of talking about my topic. And then, but I trust me, you will be so happy to go and watch the Scientific Skeptic. And then the live from last night with AK. Yeah, you've got to go. Both of them. It's so great. Okay, just entertaining and mixed in with real conversation with people that are rational and intelligent, and they don't take themselves too seriously. And it's just wonderful, truly wonderful. Okay, Now then, what is this about? Okay, well, yesterday, if you were there last night, you heard my story. I did tell my story on the live stream, but you heard the story I had last night. Yesterday, I had a really unusual, really shockingly crazy situation happen. We had our house is like a kind of like a bayou house. I don't remember. I don't know what it's called. What the architecture is called. It's low. It's got a porch goes all the way around. And so I was out. I guess you'd call it a veranda if you were in South Louisiana. So I was out on the veranda sipping mint juleps. Actually, I wasn't sipping mint juleps. I had Diet Coke, but you get my point. So I was out on the veranda and I was sipping mint juleps, and I was watching the ocean and the sky because it was gorgeous. It was breathtaking. The most unusual sky I've ever seen in my life. I've got video evidence, but I got to upload it from Piddle and Bill's phone up onto my computer platform to put it out. So I'll be putting that out. But to make a long story short, the agate that you're seeing on the tape channel top, that is what the horizon looked like, the sky. We had a horizontal rainbow from one end of the horizon to the other end of the horizon. It was stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. And I said out loud, oh my God, it's got to be Nibiru. Right? For you conspiracy theorists out there, you know Nibiru, right? Okay, now then. So I'm standing out there and I'm thinking, my God, this is a gift from God, right? There's nothing else that could come in nothing. It was beyond magical. It was just surreal to look at. As I'm standing there, guess what happens? I swear, because my husband and my son were down toward the dock doing some stuff. And they came walking back and they were looking at me. And my husband said, what is that? And I said, it's a bird. A bird, a beautiful, the blue, the color of like tanzanite blue. And it has some turquoise, it has some black, and obviously some white and some yellow. But the majority of the bird is this rich kind of azure blue. And it came flying by a couple of times. It stopped up in the tree. And the next thing I know, it's hovering in front of me, like flapping its wings about a foot away from my face. And I was like, is it going to get me? Like, what's it doing? It landed on me, right? So I just kind of froze a minute and I thought, is the bird sick? Like, what is the bird doing? So... Right, Romeo Hart knows Nibiru. Okay, so this bird lands on me. Well, it don't freak out. It's like a parakeet, right? No, we have indigenous parrots here, but it's definitely not one of those. They're green and yellow, but this is definitely like a parakeet you would purchase like at the store for $100 or $50 or whatever they are. And so it's so little. It's so little. It's got to be a baby. It's got to be a baby. So I just stood there kind of frozen and I thought, oh my gosh, it's so little. And what is it doing? And it ended up Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder. Thank you, Zelda. Exactly. And so to make a long story short, so Drover comes walking up, right? Big Drover. He comes walking up. The little bird gets onto Drover's back. And I'm thinking, okay, this is someone's lost pet, correct? So I'm thinking, oh, this is terrible. This is so sad. The bird was traumatized. There was no doubt the bird was traumatized. So my husband, being the nice person, good guy that he is, he and my son, they went up to Petco, got a little cage, got some parakeet food, and what you need for parakeets to survive, I guess. And we got the little bird all situated, and he's so happy to be in a cage, he doesn't know what to do, right? So he's singing and he's all happy and he's a happy little parakeet. So he's sleeping right now, but anyway, he's a happy little parakeet. So I got two problems. First problem is, what am I going to do with a parakeet? Because I don't need a parakeet. I work a full-time job. It's already a zoo around my house. We got hair everywhere. I don't want to deal with trying to clean up feathers too. So we got a problem that we have inherited now, a bird. And I looked to try to see, like on the Facebook and whatnot, to see if someone had talked about losing a little parakeet, in this area. And they didn't. And the wings are clipped, right? So it can't fly very far. Yes, thank you, Zelda. Hello, Peaches. Peaches is a killer, isn't she? Oh, yeah, she may be pretty and cute, but there is only one generation between her and the jungle, right? So Peaches is a problem too, and she is very interested in that little bird. Okay, so anyway, so we have this bird. We don't know what we're going to do with the bird. I mean, for now, the bird is well fed, which was the biggest problem, I suppose. It is a baby. There's no doubt it's a baby. The size of it is incredibly small, and it sleeps most of the time. It eats and sleeps. So anyway, so while I'm mulling about what I'm going to do with this pretty little, it is a beautiful bird. The colors are stunning. Um, I said, wonder what that means though, right? If you're all into like the meaning of the natural earth and all that, what does it mean if a bird lands on you? I mean, you always hear these stories about it. What does it mean if a bird poops on you, right? Is that good luck? Is that bad luck? What does that mean? And so I Google it because that's what we do in 2021 when we have a question. We don't go to the experts. We just get on the Google and we put it in and ask our question. So I did that. And the answer was, it's bad luck. What does it mean if a bird lands on your shoulder? It's bad luck. It means a great threat is in the horizon. It's a bird. It landed on your shoulder. Okay, so obviously that wasn't a real answer. Then you go to the sites that all begin saying, oh, it's such good luck if a bird lands on your shoulder. Hold on, I'm waiting for this to open. What does it mean when a bird lands on your shoulder? Birds are a sign of happiness. It made me happy when the bird landed on me. A bird landing on you is a sign of good luck. Birds are considered God's messengers or signs of angels' presence in your life. And of course, immediately I thought of my dad. Why dreams of birds landing on you can have a very big significance because they are often related to emotions. No, it's a real live bird. I didn't imagine it and I didn't dream it. Superstition would dictate that a bird landing on you is really, really good luck. This is not a sparrow, so it doesn't matter what it means if a sparrow lands on you. What does it mean when a bird lands on your head? If a bird poops on your head, it's a sign of good luck. I did not get shat upon at all, thank goodness. Don't become a sailor if you kill an albatross. As superstition states, you will get lost at sea. But it's not, I'm not a sailor, and it is not an albatross, so I think I'm okay if I go on a cruise. It's good luck if a blackbird makes a nest on your house. Not the problem. Birds eventually eat near your hand on a day when the feeder's getting low or is completely empty. Place nuts and sit. That doesn't have anything to do with a bird landing on your shoulder. Okay, so I just guess that we are going to say that a bluebird landing on your shoulder is a good thing, right? What is it, Mr. Bluebird's on my shoulder? It's fact. It's actual. Everything is satisfactory. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. So it's going to be a wonderful day, is all I know, right? Please put a picture on your community page before you rehome it. I'm Skinny Nona. Okay. So here's the deal with the bird. Okay. And I got to be careful how I say this because in case any of my neighbors are listening to me on my podcast, I don't want to offend anyone. Okay. However, we did get a story from a neighbor. Yet late last night, we were sitting outside. Everybody was visiting and talking. Um, we did get a story that one of the neighbors said to another neighbor across the fence, "Hey, do you know anyone that has a little blue parakeet? And maybe it's lost." And the person said, yeah. And the wife, who was standing behind, said, no, we don't. We don't have a parakeet. We don't have a blue parakeet. It's not lost. I think, and this person is actually a couple, just, like 2 houses down from us. So I'm thinking that they bought this little bird and they decided they didn't want it and they let it out. The problem is that the bird is a baby. It does not know how to care for itself. So it could survive here. Like I said, we have parrots all around, and maybe that's what they were thinking. This bird is a parakeet, and our indigenous parrots are technically very large parakeets. So so we kind of think maybe this little bird got released free into the wild, but it's not ready. It was at death's door last night. For a bird to come flying up to an unknown and refuse to leave, it was hungry and it was thirsty. So we kind of think that's what happened to the baby bird. When I put the food in last night, and I also cut like a little piece of apple. When I put the food in last night, the bird was frantic. I mean, birds are kind of herky jerky anyway, right? Kind of like squirrels. This bird was starving. My husband said, if I wasn't watching this, I wouldn't believe it. The bird was starving to death. So it can't, climate wise, available food, natural predators, all that, the bird could definitely survive down here, no problem. But it's a baby and it does not know how to find food. It found food. It said, there's a human. The human is the one that gives food. So she's awake right now. She's flying around the cage and she's in her water thing now, taking a bath. Cute. She's so cute. So anyway, I have some video of her. I have some pictures. The color, you see the color of the blue in this agate? That's the color of the damn bird. It's a pretty bird. Seriously, beautiful animal. So I'm going to try to see. There's a place online that you can put in this community for lost pets. I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with the bird. Because honestly, I work. That brings me to the second part of my live today. There is there are people that are, for some really unhealthy reason, they're really interested in my job, right? It's kind of weird. They're really interested in my job, and I find that to be highly inappropriate considering this is social media. You don't know me. You have no social relation or personal relationship with me. Even though you may feel as if you do, that may be a sign of mental illness rather than reality. The reality is that you don't know me, and we probably would not even really recognize each other in public if we saw one another. So this person or these people are very interested in my job, and I do say that I'm a psychologist because I am. But because a lot of times the things I talk about are related to my knowledge base or my experiences and whatnot, and so that's where the information comes from. But I don't think that it's anybody's business where, how, or when I work. Now, if you're a temporary worker, like you just go and lick envelopes for a company, or you go and input data for a company, or you sell insurance, or you work as a secretary at a school, or you're a teacher at an elementary or high school or whatever. Well, those are jobs that when you hear, oh, I'm a secretary at school, other secretaries at the school kind of automatically understand what your job entails, right? It's not specifically in the details, but there's a general idea. The problem is with lawyers or doctors, psychologists, when you hear those terms, it's such a broad general training. And that is the way that the education is designed to flow. And that is that you get a professional degree, and it is called a generalist degree. You get a wide ranging, exposure, training experiences, and education in the basic foundations like history of the profession, notable players in the profession, the basic tools required. For example, with a psychologist, everybody's got to have 2 years of advanced study in statistical analysis and research design. So there's this generalist degree. You graduate your PhD or your PsyD, but it's still considered generalist, right? And you can take that degree and you can go to work with other people in bigger organizations where there is a licensed psychologist on staff, and they have to sign off and take responsibility for the work you do. So they're basically, you are working as a psychologist, but they are taking the responsibility to oversee you and your work and your product, and then say, yes, I'm willing legally to take responsibility for this document or this product that this other psychologist has put out, and then you sign your name to it, right? The only reason that you would need to get a license to practice, and it's another couple of years, it's a big deal to become licensed for independent practice, is what they say. That's what they call it. It's a big deal to do that. It's very expensive. It is an intensive, rigorous process of studying, and the test is a nightmare. It's easier to get board certified, I think, probably than to get the licensing for independent practice. But once you get that license for independent practice, then you become the person at, let's say, a hospital or at a large organization that is able to sign off on the work of unlicensed psychologists. They still have their doctorate degree. They're still called doctor when they go into work. But if they're doing clinical work, then they have to have oversight of a licensed psychologist. So that gives you a broad general, but here too is another problem, not just the license and understanding what the licensing means. It is the problem of like an attorney. If somebody says, oh, what kind of work do you do? Oh, I'm an attorney. And then they leave it there. Well, you don't know what that means. You don't know if they're doing contract law. You don't know if they're doing real estate law. You don't know if they're doing criminal law. You don't know. Maybe they're political people. You don't know what they're doing with their generalist training, advanced training. And so they'll typically follow up by saying what their specialty is, right? I'm an attorney in criminal law, or I'm an attorney in contract law. So it's the same exact thing with physicians and psychologists, medical professionals. You have your generalist degree, but then you follow up with what you specialize in. So I'm an old person. I've been working a long time. I've got a lot of experiences and training and specialties. I am certified by certain courts for different reasons, for different things. Cognition and learning is one of them. Advanced curriculum for gifted and talented. pediatric clinical psychology. So those are some really niche streamlined. There are very few people that really do pediatric clinical, right? Because you're talking about children that are experiencing a high level of what we would consider DSM type of diagnoses. Okay, they're having some significant trouble. So usually what you will run across with people that are psychologists, if they have a PhD, normally you will have people who will teach, and they will also have a private practice in their niche specialty area. They're not doing counseling. Hey, I need a counselor. Let me call Dr. such and such so I can get counseling. It's not like that. When at some point you reach a point where there's a really in-depth area of knowledge, and so for what I do, there's a very specific thing, and so I don't do marriage counseling. I have in the past. I mean, if you run across somebody that's a psychologist, they've done that because that's part of your basic. Once you begin to train, that's part of your training experiences, is you dabble in a lot of different areas of psychology, so that you begin to realize, hey, I really like this area, don't like this area so much. I want to focus more on this. I want to specialize in that. And so as you go through the years, you are whittling away and focusing on the thing that you're best at. So as I said, the majority of people that I know will teach, and they have private practice, or they will contract out to hospitals with possibly a private practice. It's pretty hard to do because with the hospital contracts, you also have to do on-call hours. You work the ER. There's a lot of course. Not every hospital placement is the same. I know somebody that works at one of the big hospitals, and they're doing research. They're gathering research in their pediatric cardiology department. And that's all their job. They go to work at the hospital every day, but it is a statistician, a research position. So it's a little sad and simplistic, and it's a reflection of someone's lack of knowledge and understanding to say, oh, well, I know she had a private practice because I saw it. And now she said she's in the hospital, and I don't know if I believe that. She's such a liar. Okay, you just don't know what you're talking about. But maybe you will now, because now you understand. Now you have a good general description of how it can be confusing that someone who says, I'm a psychologist, it's very difficult to, just from that one statement, to really understand how they may be using their education, right? I also know, I've got a friend who, what she does, she's licensed for independent practice. She's got a PhD. She's done the whole thing. We were lockstep, both going through this process together. And what she has ended up doing, she's working for a big, actually I have another friend with a kind of a cool, non-traditional psych job. But my one friend works for, I'm not going to say, but it's a large publisher. And that person is overseeing written curriculum for school systems. So that is a very non-traditional job, but interesting if you enjoy cognition and learning, ed psych, things like that. So that's a very cool job. I have another friend who actually works for one of the big, well-known dating sites, and he writes the questionnaires, and that matches people up, based on their personality. So that is very cool. Oh, and another person that I was in school with, that person works for the cruise lines and helps in a corporate fashion, helps with developing entertainment on board the ships and what types of things will keep people's attention, what kind of things that will draw people into the shops on board. How do you capitalize and keep people out of their rooms on the days that you're at sea? So look, there's all kinds of there are psychologists that work at NASA, doing things related to the main one that jumps that I personally know about, is the planning that they have for getting to Mars. And the psychologists that are working on that project, they are looking at human factors for being inside of a starship for 10 years or whatever. How do you make it livable so that the human animal can continue to thrive and maintain its physical, emotional, and mental health as they're going on this Star Trek. Okay. So there's lots of things to do with a degree in psychology, but being licensed puts you, it bumps it up to a different, to some different choices that you can make. No, that is kitty dog barking. Oh, is that Sage? What's Sage barking at? Oh, you left her outside. Poor Sage. Fiddle and Bill left Sage outside. So, wanting to clear up that confusion, why is it that a psychologist would have multiple jobs and multiple working conditions? And to make this person even more freaked out, I actually am contracted at 3 different hospitals in the greater Houston area. So why are you spending so much time trying to play a game of gotcha? It's kind of sad. So please stop. You know what? I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions that you may have. I have presented myself accurately and authentically on my YouTube channel. And I did that after a lot of soul searching, because I am well known in the Houston area. I know a lot of people. So I can't be somebody I'm not. It would be horrible to portray myself to be a different person or a different type of person, and then have somebody that, I work with, or somebody that I've seen that says, this lady must be crazy. I know her in real life. Why is she acting like that online? I have to be authentic. I have to be a real person, if for no other reason than for my own well-being and my own health, right? All right, Sage is quiet, 12-step woman. She's been rescued by her dad, so it's okay. All right, so let's see. Hi, Martin. How are you today? I wasn't confused. That person is ignorant and seems that they are fishing to try and sully your reputation. Oh, well, I think you're exactly accurate about that. It's been a game of got you for 2.5 years. And I feel very sorry that she can't manage better. It's time for her to quit thinking about me. I say these things. Let me say this as well. 12-step woman says the same thing. I act the same online as I do in person. If you are someone that's out in the community, people know who you are, then you better be the same person, right? 12 step. Because people will. That's why I'm always surprised with politicians, right? Me and my husband have talked about this. If you're a politician and you are known by everyone because you're on television and people are researching you because there's people that get rabid about politics, right? Then the one thing that they're hoping is to find you doing or saying something completely out of character for what you would say or do in real life, so that they can say, oh, look, I got them. Here's the video. I can prove it, right? Hey, Strawberry Wine, good morning. No, you're much better off to know who you are, and then adhere to ethics, morality, your own personal system of morality, ethics, morality, and the law, and then be relaxed and be yourself, and don't. And then it's, when you have situations like an unbalanced person becomes obsessed with you, then it's not a fearful type situation. Let's see. I know a lot of people here over the edges of boring Oregon. They fear me. To know Zelda is to fear Zelda. Oh, you are silly, Zelda. You're a sweetheart. You know you are. Okay. All right. So, hey, Denise. Denise, did you have fun last night? Hi, Sandra. Good morning. Did you have a good time last night, Denise? Denise was there for AK's live. What'd you think, girl? Hi, Colette. How are you this morning? Uh-oh, I guess Denise is having computer trouble. Or it may be still me. I had such bad computer problems this morning. It was horrible. I don't know if I had programs downloading or what. Oh, I'm hungry. Were you drinking last night, Denise? I believe it. I know. I thought to myself at one point, Denise must be in her cups. She must be imbibing a little. Yeah, you were having fun, weren't you, Denise? Denise had too much fun last night. Denise, I have a question. Do you love Scientific Skeptic? Martin, it was brilliant. It was, wasn't it? We had so much fun. I was really unhappy that my computer had so much trouble. But I'll tell you what, I ended up, when I got kicked off, our electricity blinked, the router went out, so I had to reset everything. So when I came back, rather than going back up on panel, you know what I did? I got a bag of popcorn and I just sat back and listened to those two goofballs and just laughed and laughed. Had a great time. It was such a great night, Scottie Nana. I'm telling you, AK and Scientific Skeptic, they have a great, there is a good flow between the two of them that is entertaining to watch. They should do a weekly show. Don't you think? They should totally do a weekly flow. I literally sat there and ate. So Denise is drinking and she's having a great time being goofy, being silly, right? I know you. Hey, Denise, everyone knows that you love AK after last night. But we all love AK. That's the point, right? That's why he's so successful, or he will be successful if he decides to engage this platform. Let me tell you, while she's drinking, having a great time, I was eating I had bought a big bag of boom, boom, chicka, chicka, boom, boom popcorn, right? Love the stuff. It's the greatest stuff ever. I want y'all to know I sat there and ate almost the whole entire bag, laughing my ass off in the dark. laughing so hard. And at one point, so all the lights were off and everything. I had moved over into the kitchen because everybody was asleep except for me. And I went over into the kitchen, closed the doors and everything. I was sitting in the dark, laughing, 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 eating my popcorn. My husband came in and he said, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "It's too hard to explain." Hey, BBT, welcome. Hi, Charlie Faith. Listen, Charlie Faith, you got to go watch the whole thing. They were brilliant. They were brilliant. The whole thing was brilliant. Absolutely. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, the story was crazy. You want to know something? Listen, Charlie, I asked the story, right? I asked the story. I asked AK, tell me about what got you started in this focus on searching for missing people. And the damn electricity went out. I didn't hear any. The only thing I heard him say, he said, he talked about when he was like 24 and he had this dream of going around the globe, right? Which was brilliant. I heard that part. And then right as he began to talk about that Brandon contacted him, boom, electricity went out, router gone. There I was. I said, "Oh my God, no." And so it took probably 20 minutes, 15 minutes to get the router reset and get my computer logged back in. And when I got back, they were having so much fun. And I thought, no, I don't want to, ask for a link and interfere. So I just got my popcorn and sat back and just enjoyed the show. It was just it was great. Absolutely great. So if you guys, I don't know, Zelda, did you find the Scientific Skeptic, his link to put up? It was a fun night, Denise. It was really great. Yeah. So Charlie, this morning, then when I woke up, I went back to the live so that I could listen to the rest of his answer. And it makes your heart swell to know that there are wonderful people like that, right? He's a decent, truly decent human being. There are not very many decent people around. He is decent. So, I am glad. Let me say this. I am glad that when the pressure from Chris McDonough's subscribers, when the pressure started on me, I'm glad that I stayed focused on my own opinion, because every day I find out that I made the right choice. And at the time that it was all playing out, you didn't know, right? I knew AK a little bit, Gonzo and AK a little bit. I knew what they were doing. I had met BZ, and that, I'm telling you, BZ, decent human person. I'm talking about BZ Mama, truly decent person, truly honest. You can trust that girl. If she says it, you can carve it in stone. Okay. She's a good person. So I knew these people surface kind of, and then I met BZ. She's a great person. And, you think about motivation. I'm always talking about motivation, why people do the things that they do, because that's the important part. It's not actually what they do, it's why they do it that is so informative. And, what their goal is, what's the end result. Like my stalker, the end result for her is for her to spoil my reputation, to take away what I enjoy with the whole YouTube thing, because she feels that I did that to her when I took away her rent. So she's been focused on this for 2.5 years. So she's serious. I mean, she's truly obsessed. And she does legitimately wish me harm. Like she does. There's no way someone stays obsessed 2.5 years and does not actually have a wish of harm. Okay. She does wish it. So with this group, AK, Gonzo, the people that, we met one of the ladies last night on the panel that were helping look up data, do research, things like that. BZ, who she's part of it, she goes hiking. She's out there searching and hiking like the rest of these people. I mean, these are great, good human beings. They're not doing it for money. They're not doing it because they get glory. Hell, BZ doesn't even want to go on a panel. She doesn't even understand why anybody's trying to get viewers. She just wants to talk to her little core group of people because those are the people that matter. They are legitimately looking for missing people because someone needs to. And if not them, then who? Right? So from that point of view, the motivation that is fueling that drive for this group of people, these are highly actualized people. These are people that recognize, well, I'm not going to do it because I may get arrested and I don't want to get in trouble. And I'm not going to do it because I'm going to enrich myself. I'm going to do it because it is the greater good. Because if we're all slugs running around, not doing crimes because we want to avoid prison, or we're all slugs, doing things for the almighty dollar, then that means we end up in a culture, a society, a generation of slugs. But if one person does the right thing simply because you're a part of a bigger community, then that makes our generation better overall. If two people do it, it makes the generation even more. And if we can develop a bigger group of people willing to act in a selfless manner and do for others without any kind of selfish gain, then my reason for existence is done. I've left the world a better place than what I found it. Listen, people, you find someone like that, and they're rare. There's not many of those people around. Most people are still operating at that level of, I don't speed because I don't want to get a ticket, right? Or I go to my job because I make money. That's where the majority of humanity is resting, in a very selfish, self-centered place. It is very hard to build up and grow and be able to intellectually comprehend this idea of self-actualization, where you do things because it's your inherent responsibility to humanity. That's why you do things. You got to make this generation better for the people that will come behind you, and then they will build it up even more. It's like stepping upstairs, right? It's very few people that ever reach a level of self-actualization. Jonathan Schwartz, he was probably 12. I'm trying to remember. I think 11, 12 years old. And he was engaging in self-actualized theory and philosophy. People want to talk about how gifted he was, but they don't fully understand just the level of that gift. And ultimately, the U.S. government said this guy's dangerous because he knows how to get a message out. He knows the mechanics of getting the messaging out. And if he gets out and gets a megaphone and he begins educating people what he inherently seems to know as a 12-year-old child, we're going to lose this house of cards that we've built to enrich ourselves. And they killed him. In my opinion, they engaged in such a campaign of personal destruction against that young man that it drove him mad. It's horrible what they did to him. It's horrible. If you don't know his story, you should look it up because it will. I actually have a poster of him on my wall in my private office. So to have this group of people come up on YouTube, which is shocking at best, AK, Gonzo, BZ Mama, all these people, Martin Smallwood, all these people now from AK's community over on Twitter. These are people that are getting it. They're getting this idea that you do something because you make the world better, so that when you leave the world, it's better because you were once in it. By doing that, then you live on forever, right? So this group does that. And that's what I said to myself when this whole thing broke out with Chris McDonough. I saw the original post the night it came up, doxing AK. Not only doxing him, listen how snaky this was. It's so snaky. Doxed him, however, hold on, it wasn't intellectually honest. The dox was not intellectually honest. It was a doxing, but then they put lies into the dox, right? So it tricked people. People said, why are they, oh, this must be true. Otherwise, Mr. Famous Hollywood television star, detective star, no way would he lie about someone. This, AK must have been, threatening him, and now he's trying to protect his wife. How noble, and AK is such an evil person. But the night that the Twitter came up, I saw it when it was posted. I saw it and I thought, what? That doesn't make sense from a psychological point of view. The things that he's saying don't match. It's like he's describing 3 or 4 different people, not the same person. And it didn't take long to go into it to see that the pages that he had posted were bogus. They weren't real. They weren't even real pages from that particular website. They were screenshots made to look like they came off the website, but when you got into the website, you signed up for it and all that, it wasn't there. It wasn't real. So McDonough engaged in a campaign through doxing, cyberbullying, to harm a citizen. He did. I mean, plain as day. And you have to ask yourself, well, why? What would drive this person to do it? And for some weird reason, about the same time the Michael Crow stuff came out, and I listened and I watched the interview. I went in search of the full interview, and I was horrified by what I saw. And then he later came up and he said, no, I didn't question the young man. I did not do interrogation. I simply administered the test. And I thought, oh my God, that is untrue. You're telling 80,000 people a bald-faced lie. You absolutely manipulated that kid. It's on tape. Everyone can see it. Why are you lying? So over the course of maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, I just watched really close. And I watched people obviously begin to white knight for Chris McDonough. I'm talking about people that had big platforms, big channels. Why? Oh, well, because if you have a channel on YouTube and you can get a star from Court TV to be on your panel, then you're going to even grow more and you're going to have more credibility, rather than doing the right thing and waiting for truth to emerge, right? And that's what I did. And before it was all over with, it became really clear that what was happening was illegal, in my opinion only. I'm not an attorney, but my understanding of what the cyberbullying is, this person was being targeted in a horrible way, and they were being slandered. There was also libel. The things that were being said were intentionally false. Chris McDonough knew who this guy was. He knew. There was proof that he knew. So I took a lot of heat. I lost a lot of subscribers, people that really love Chris McDonough, and everybody in my channel knew that I was watching his lives. Everybody knew that I felt very uncomfortable how far things were going in the interrogation of people, witnesses involved in the Wells case. My fear was, how are they ever going to prosecute if in fact one or both of the Wells were involved in the disappearance of Summer? We don't know that, but if that were the case, how would they ever be able to prosecute now that all of these videos, all of this interrogation, psychologically, there's a lot that goes on with questioning a person. You can actually change their memory of an event. It's a real phenomenon, okay? One that is so powerful that people that work in that field are highly trained to avoid questioning. You never want to question when there's an outcry. There's a very specific way of talking to these kids or these rape victims and you don't ask questions, because through the act of questioning, you provide suggestion, and then the memory and the integration into long-term memory works in a Gestalt type fashion. And so the brain will search for, there's always going to be missing pieces of comprehension. And the brain will naturally, like a computer, will search for an event or piece of knowledge similar, and then it will integrate, it will assimilate the general information of similarity with your actual recall of the event. And what's left is something that didn't happen. It's a version of what happened, but your own historical experiences can often change your accurate memory of a situation. The use of a word, a single word, can completely change the way somebody remembers something. If I say somebody had a fender bender, what color was the car? Or I say someone had a crash, what color was the car involved? Well, if you say the word crash, a statistically significant number of people will choose the option of a red car, when in fact both cars were black or blue or white or whatever. But there's something about the brain, and it's quite perplexing, but it's something about the brain that would associate a word like crash with the color red. A fender bender, the majority of people will pick either blue or white. And sometimes that changes and it's not really statistically significant, but the red definitely goes. I can make someone, how should I say this? I know how to increase the chances of you getting a phone call from some guy that you think is handsome, like a stranger, but you'd like a phone call from him. I know how to increase the chances of that happening. Like, increase it to a statistically significant level. Does anybody know how to do it? I bet you Scientific Skeptic knows the research. I bet he would know how to do it. Does anybody know? I think his ego got big on here. Hold on, Tamara, just a minute. I think his ego got big on here, and he thought he was above all others and could do whatever he wanted. Well, Tamara, yes, I can definitely agree with that. But there is a history that is easily found where he aligns himself with people that are famous rather than people that he may genuinely like. It does seem to be that there's a focus on gaining access to well-known people, not particularly wealthy, not rich and famous, but well-known people. Even to the point, I don't want to get into the bashing of another human being, but that served as my foundation for making a decision. Am I going to stand my ground and believe what I believe is true based on my knowledge base, my experiences, historically, what I've known before I ever ran across AK or Gonzo or BZ or any of them? what I learned in graduate school, what I've learned through my training experiences, my professional work, all of it. What my brain and my experiences, my history, and my knowledge is telling me is that this is a group of people that somehow found themselves drawn together by a missing person situation. And they recognized in one another, hey, we're kind of all there. We're all kind of like in search of this meaning for life and making sure that we do the best we can for humanity and not get all caught up in this superficial capitalistic rat race, right? And the old saying, birds of a feather flock together, right? So while it seemed like it was odd to find this many people self-actualized, because there are not very many people that are self-actualized. It's hard to get to that point. It's hard to overlook your own selfish needs to get to embrace an awareness that there's a bigger purpose for living, for being alive, right? So I took hit. I did. I lost hundreds of subscribers because of the whole Chris thing. That I said no. I'm not doing this. I'm not willing to do. I believe in my heart of hearts. I believe in Gonzo. I believe in AK. I believe in BZ. I believe in Tish. All those people. I believed them. I believed wholeheartedly what they were trying to do. I believed them. And then no question, when I saw the doxing come up, and I saw in the week after or so, I saw the Michael Crow interrogation, and I saw the truth, how the doxing was intellectually dishonest. And I said, I totally was right on. I was accurate in what I was seeing. But I lost a lot. I even lost some friends. They thought that I was being dumb and stupid, but I wasn't. I was trying to be real, and I was trying to be. I've never been a person that has been impressed with the rich and famous. I look at the rich and famous and I think, why? Why is this person engaging in such self-destructive behaviors? And why is it that all of the people that are supposed to be, the king of rock and roll, the best of the best, right? Why are they all so self-destructive? Why do they self-destruct? What's happening with these people in their lifestyle that it ultimately ends up destroying them if they're so great and good at what they do? And that opens your eyes to the fact that, being that person that's chasing fame, that may be an indication that there may be something else going on that's not so healthy, right? So anyway, BZ says the brain fills in the holes and that becomes the reality. 100%. It's the reason that you can look at a few lines on a piece of paper and your brain can give it meaning. Or you look at a cloud, and when you look at the cloud, then your brain says, oh, that's a rabbit. It's called the Gestalt of the brain. And it's cool, and it's something, incidentally. Here's a little bit of computer, techno psych stuff. One of the biggest failures to now for artificial intelligence, getting a computer that can think and experience and problem solve like a human brain, one of the big downfalls has been this ability to complete or reconstruct a non-fact. That when we look at a cloud, we go, yeah, that's a rabbit chasing a fox, or what, they can't make the computers do it. In fact, now they can this problem, but for a long time, one of the big problems was they couldn't get a computer to recognize a person's face. Okay. If the computer learned that the face was straight on, then that's what it would, if it saw you straight on, it would say, oh yeah, there she is, that's Jot. But if the face was turned even a quarter of a turn, suddenly the computer had no comprehension. It didn't recognize it. The limitation was the computer chip, that they didn't have enough space to put in every single minute movement of the face that you have to teach to the computer. Now, this is really highly intensive. It requires a great deal of hard drive, memory, which is why you need these crazy, computer chips. But a human baby comes into the world after 2 weeks. They know if that's mom or dad, even if the parents got their back turned to them. So their brains begin to discern. The brain is capable of incredible things. So much level of comprehension that when you learn something new, you're in awe at how much you don't know. I remember one of the coolest things that I've ever learned about Louisiana School for the Blind is a really cool place for training and whatnot. And I remember the day that I learned that there are people who are blind, like legitimately blind, and yet you can put them in a room that is set up like an obstacle course, and they can walk from one end of the room to the other end of the room and never stumble over anything. Hey, Gonzo. Hi there. I was just singing your praises earlier, Gonzo. You missed it. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe you were lurking. Last night, Gonzo, as soon as we were going live, my electricity blinked off and my router shut down and I had to reset everything. So I am very sorry about that. I would have enjoyed talking with you. The same situation, the same particular type of blindness, we would put on the table in front of them, we would put like a yellow duck, a yellow book, and a yellow ball. And then you could say to the person, pick up the yellow book, and they would reach out and pick up the book, but they're blind. Okay. But if you say, pick up the blue duck, then they say there's no duck. So what is happening that the brain is doing this? Well, because the eyes are working, the eyes are perceiving same thing, Gonzo. Yeah, we were having terrible electric in and out, blinking on and off. So I'm sure you were out someplace beautiful and wonderful, and that's why you didn't have service. But anyway, I would have enjoyed talking with you, Gonzo. So sorry that happened. Anyway, so the eyes are working, the eyes are functional. The optic nerve is functional. The set of neurons that carry the information from the eyes into the brain, but it's actually a problem that is related to brain damage, not actual blindness. It is brain blindness. So what happens is that the eye perceives an object, it sends the message into the part of the brain that would give that item meaning. Like when you look at your dog, your eyes have to see the dog first, and then that message has to travel through your optic nerve and into the part of the brain that gives it meaning. And then your brain has to decide, oh, that's my dog Drover, or that's my cat Peaches. The people that are brain blind, they have a particular type of brain damage. They see it, but the brain can't give it meaning. It doesn't know what it is. The brain doesn't even recognize I'm seeing this. But clearly they are, because if you say, where's the yellow book or where's the yellow ball, they can reach that. They can reach out and get it. But if you say, where's the red ball, then suddenly they can't. They're completely. And the coolest thing was watching the obstacle course. These people that are blind, and they can walk right across the room and walk around chairs and books, and it's fascinating. So the brain is an enigma. It is the vast unknown. It's the last true frontier, I guess, after space. Um, but you got to appreciate what the brain can do. And BZ Mama is exactly correct that we see things that are unfinished, or we see only a part of an item, and the miracle of the brain in a way that has not been able to be reproduced in artificial intelligence. The brain takes instantaneously every experience that you've ever had before, whether it was simply reading something in a book or picking it up with your own hand, and can somehow provide some contextual meaning to it. And that's really great for survival. That's really great for day-to-day living and going through your life. But it is not so great in a court of law where exact fact matters. If we have a kid who makes an outcry, if we have a kid who says, this person is hitting me or abusing me, or this person broke my leg, or whatever it happens to be, immediately at that point, everything shuts down, right? There's no more questioning. There's no more skills development. And the only toys that I'll provide will be toys that the child has already played with in my presence. And then I immediately contact a forensic investigator. And the forensic psychologist is trained to come in and collect the story, even the missing parts. We want the missing parts. We don't want the child to fill in missing points, because it's going to be BS. It's not going to be real. It's going to be the brain making sense of what has happened in the best way that it can. So the forensic psychologist is trained. They know how to come in and present a scenario and allow the child to act it out, including the missing parts. And then you got a really, really good idea of what actually happened. And then it's up to the investigators to look for environmental proof of the missing pieces and what actually happened during the missing pieces. One of the craziest things that I heard was from the Delphi murders with Abby and Libby. I was amazed when I found out that the drawing, the sketch that they put out, the first one put out was not the first sketch done. The first one that was put out to the public was actually done later, and they had the input of like 20 people or 30 people. It was a lot, all the eyewitnesses that were on the trail that day. They all came in, looked at this and said, no, I remember his eyes were a little bit different here. No, I remember his mouth was a little bit different here. No, his face was a little wider. His face was a little skinnier. All right. Well, I get what they thought, but they thought completely wrong, because what they ended up doing is, if you had used the first sketch that came from one person, one eyewitness who was face to face with the person, had a brief conversation, what you would have had is you would have had an accurate drawing with only one piece of what we call error, statistical error. And error is built into everything we do, right? But that would have been the error from one person. So you would have been comfortable knowing that the greatest majority of that sketch was in fact Bridge Guy. Yeah? But that's not what they did, because they did not ask someone that understood learning and memory and cognition, neuropsych. They didn't go to the right people to find out what do we do with all this. What they did instead is they said, let's bring in all of the eyewitnesses. Let's get them all to contribute to the drawing, and then we'll take what most of them agree with and we'll throw out what most don't agree with. That's going to be a huge problem, because if you have 15 people come in to contribute to the drawing, how much error do you have now? You've just taken error of one piece and multiplied it 15 times. So the original sketch that was put out was a figment of imagination. It was a complete work of, it was an artistic endeavor. It was fictional. It was what people thought a bad guy who would kill 2 kids would look like. Yeah? You agree, BBT? It was that age-old problem, what does a killer look like? And they had 15 people reinforce one another on what a killer looks like. And what does the thing look like? He looks like Chester the Molester. He's got the little flat hat. If they could have drawn his whole body, they'd have had him in a long coat so he could open his coat up with no breeches on. It would have been that bad, right? Instead, the second picture that they put out when they released the additional audio, the second picture they put out, he just looked like some little nerdy fraternity guy. Right or wrong? He didn't. That second picture doesn't look nefarious at all. You see the problem? You see the problem? So they're not stupid. They weren't being bad people. They genuinely would like to solve this case more than we would like it solved. I promise. They don't want to be seen as being incompetent. But they really, they needed someone to understand better. And quite frankly, with well, never mind. I'm not gonna be snarky. I was fixing to be snarky. I'm glad I caught myself. No, now what I think is particularly interesting, BZ Mama, why don't you take the first sketch and overlay it on top of the second sketch and then tell me whose Christmas card that is? Yeah? See? Look at Yvette. Yvette, have you seen the merged pictures of the first sketch and the second sketch? You will gasp. You will gasp. It is Barry Morphew. The Martin, what do you think? You've seen it, right? You've seen the first sketch that has been merged or morphed with the second sketch, correct? It looks like Barry sat down for an artist to draw a portrait. So what does it mean to me? I don't know. I don't know how that could be. I don't. That's the God honest truth. And again, I went out on a limb and said, BZ and I have, yeah, I went out on a limb and talked about this. And that really brought some anger up. Rightly so. Nobody wants people to say that about people they care about. But I'm just talking about the phenomenon. I'm not talking about that it really is Barry. It probably isn't Barry. The chance of it being Barry is probably, you'd probably have a better chance of winning the lottery tonight or last night or whatever than the fact that would be Barry's drawing. But it's weird that it's so similar. It's really weird. All right. So please, everybody understand, please, Mr. Morphew's litigious attorneys, I am not saying that Barry is Bridge Guy. I ain't saying it. I'm saying when you, and do this, try this, Mr. Litigious Attorney. Take the sketch number 1 from the Delphi case, and then get your computer expert to morph that and merge that with sketch 2. And then y'all talk about it. That's all. It's just a weird, thing. it's a weird thing. Like flying saucers, right, Martin Smallwood? It's weird. Okay. All right. Let's see where we are here. Did you see what she had to say about Gabby, Summer, and Brian? Who is she, Colette? Me? Did I say something bad? Oh, thank you, 12 step woman. Mr. Litigious Attorney, please pay attention. There are members of the general public right now as we speak that are saying, hey, I thought that about Barry before Jules ever brought it up. So, yeah. But you are suing 26 people, so I think you like it. So, just don't come after us because we ain't saying that that's him. We ain't saying it. We ain't saying it. Yeah, but lots of people resemble criminal sketches, right? It's different than parietal BBT. It's because you got two. Well, maybe it is. No, no, no. Maybe you're right. Yeah, BBT. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's recognized. They look similar, and because you know who Barry is, you think, wow, that could be Barry. But if you didn't know Barry, if you didn't know about Barry and he was standing in a lineup and you had that sketch, would you still pick him? Hmm. What do you think, BZ? If you did not know Barry's history, you knew nothing about him, you had the two sketches that were superimposed on one another, and Barry was in a lineup, would you pick him as being the person that was sketched? I don't know. I need to think about that. I'm inclined, I'm going to tell you this, BBT. I'm inclined to say no, and here's why. When I take those two sketches, one and two, and I put down the picture of Garrett Kurtz and Christopher, what was his name? Chris, Martin, help me out. What was Chris's name? The blonde kid, blondish red hair. I think he looks like the second sketch and Garrett Kurtz looks like the first sketch, right? I still think they look alike. However, when you put them together, they look like Barry Morphew. So he does, BZ. Well, and also I've talked about him being pigeon-toed with his broken knee, uh, and the stride of Bridge Guy. There's a match there too. So my uncle got arrested for looking like a sketch of a killer. They let him go, but just go. It does absolutely, Missy. That's why I'm saying, even though I can say when you put those two sketches together, you can go, oh my God, that looks exactly like Barry Morphew. However, the first sketch, I believe, looks like Garrett Kurtz, and that the second sketch looks like Garrett Kurtz's friend. So we have to remember these sketches, they're not photographs. And even with photographs, hold on a minute. Even with photographs, can't you confuse one person with another person with a photograph? Right? So we do favor, and all animals, they can have a doppelganger. I used to get stopped in my town that I was working in. I would have people come up to me and start talking to me, and then I guess the empty look on my face would make them stop and go, oh, wait a minute, you're not blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the person's name. It was always the same name. And I said, no, I'm not, but you're not the first person to think that I was her. And then they would marvel and say, oh my God, you look exactly like her. And, realistically, this town was very near to the town where my grandparents grew up and then got married and had my dad and his siblings. So it's probably a cousin. There's probably some kind of genetic link there. But anyway, we have doppelgangers. People mistake others all the time. Yeah. But looking at the sketches, these criminal sketches, what that will do is it will help you eliminate some of the population. It's not a way to identify a specific person. It's more of a way to sort of rule out a big group of people and refine the group that you're looking at. Don't you think he likes to kill animals more? Are we still talking about Barry? Yvette says her husband, who doesn't give a care about any of this true crime stuff, thinks that the sketch looks like Barry. The same thing with my husband, Yvette. Yep, same thing. Oh, is it 5:10? Okay, Martin. I hope you have a great time. It's so exciting, isn't it? So fun. You know what, BZ? I know you don't have any interest in going on panel, and I'm not going to make you uncomfortable or anything. I wish that you would, because I think your stories about him are fascinating. Truly, my view of him changed after sitting in the cold sitting in the cold pre-dawn morning, listening to BZ talk about personal encounters with Barry Morphew. That was a surreal moment for me, promise. But it was really one of those moments that one of my favorite memories in my life. True. It was I don't know if I ever told y'all about how me and BZ met. It was weird as hell. So I was in Colorado, and I wanted to go to the preliminary hearing, and got a hotel room and whatnot. Couldn't sleep. I knew I was getting up at 3:00 in the morning to go get in line at the courthouse, right? Because they were only letting in 10 people. And so I knew I've only got a couple hours of sleep to sleep, because I don't want to be late. And so I was having a hard time sleeping. The last thing I looked at right before I fell asleep was somebody's Twitter, where there was a suitcase that was in a little pond. And I thought, that's so weird. Why would somebody put a picture of a suitcase in a pond on their Twitter? And I read the bottom of it, something about opening it up, and it had some mud, stuff in it, a fish and some mud. And then I fell asleep. Right? That was the last thing. That was a very, very last thing that I read before I fell asleep. My alarm went off a couple hours later. I didn't get hardly any sleep. My alarm went off. I jumped up, got dressed, looked like the devil, no makeup, hair pulled back. I mean, it was rough, right? I didn't care. I was going to hear and collect information. Well, I got there to the courthouse, and there were, I believe there were 5 or 6 women already there. I was in shock when I saw how many people were there. And so got out, walked up, said good morning, and then I was standing there. And so there's this delightful woman sitting there, and she says, "You can sit down if you want to. That's, I brought an extra chair. Go ahead and sit down." I was like, "Oh my God, you're so nice. Thank you so much." Because it was early. We had hours to wait. Hours with an S. And so I pulled it up, beside her, and sat down, thanked her, and whatnot. So we're all talking. Of course, we're talking about Barry and Suzanne. And everybody's talking. I'm just being very quiet listening, because I don't know these people. I'm just very hush-hush. And so they're all talking. They're all telling their stories and what they know and everything. And something, I don't even remember, BZ, what you said. You said something. I don't remember what it was. Must have been something about the suitcase, maybe. And I turned around and I looked at you and I said, "Are you BZ Mama?" And you looked at me like, "Oh my God, is this a stalker? Who the hell is this woman who knows my Twitter handle?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're never going to believe this. I was reading your Twitter feed last night before I fell asleep. That's how we met. Is that there are 300 million people in the United States. I got on an airplane and flew to Colorado. She came from another area of the state to go to this little courthouse in the middle of nowhere before the sun came up. We sit down next to each other, and I was reading her feed the night before. Isn't that just amazing? It's amazing. It's amazing to think about. Yeah. So yeah, so that's how. And then later on, and so then we're talking, and it was okay. So BZ's gonna come up. Oh, I love you so much. You're so sweet. Thank you, thank you. Hold on just a minute. I'll get your link. Okay, there you go, BZ. So anyway, we're talking later. Oh, you're going to be awesome, BZ. And listen, you can turn your cam off. So make sure your mic is unmuted. Turn your cam off, and then nobody can see you. They'll just hear you. Okay. So while she's getting all that straightened out, then so we're sitting there and we're talking. We were just laughing because it's like, how crazy that you're reading my Twitter. We don't know each other. We're just total strangers. And then we end up sitting, side by side. There's like 6 of us women there, and there we are. And then as she's talking, she says something else. I don't even know what it was. And I said, do you know Gonzo? She said, oh yeah, I know Gonzo. Of course I know Gonzo. He's like my big friend. And I was like, oh my God, it's so crazy. It's a crazy world. You should be able to do it from the phone, BZ. I don't know how to do it from the phone. But you should click on it. When you click on that link that I left, it'll automatically connect you to the live. Hey, what you doing?
Getting everything set up.
Oh, good. If BZ Mama looks like AK, I want to see her. Denise, control those urges, girl. Y'all, you're so funny. Y'all, Denise was a hoot last night. She was in her cups. Yeah? She was having a good time. Yeah. And I listen, Denise, there's BZ. Okay. So let's
do it right now.
Okay.
I got to have a power strip.
Are you going to get one? Go get one and we'll get it hooked up after I finish this. Sorry, y'all. We're having a domestic moment. Okay. All right. Let me add. Okay. Can you hear me, BZ?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. It's so good to talk to you. How are you?
You too. Good. A little nervous.
You know what? Look, to be honest, the first time you get up on a panel, it is nerve-wracking. It is.
Yeah, my heart is racing.
Okay. But look, trust
so that's
me.
normal.
It is totally normal. But listen, I saw you walk across that log over that chasm. It was like the Grand Canyon. And you pirouetted across that log like it was nothing. If you can do that, you can totally do this.
No, I freaked myself out when I did that. I thought about it too much, and everybody was waiting for me on the other side, and so the pressure was there. And I was on the other side looking for rocks, because that's, of course, what I'm always doing. Looking for the right rock.
It was a very cute video. I loved it.
Well, thank you. It was really sweet how they were all excited when I got to the other side. So,
yeah,
because I envisioned myself down in the river.
you got hugs and everything and clapping and
Yeah. Yeah, it was sweet. Yeah, it was a good trip. We actually were at a campground actually right outside of Salida. So right after the last hearing, I think it was the one where the family and all the friends from Indiana were there. Right after that, I left that and went and met my husband and kids at a campground about 30 minutes away. A campground that my husband used to take the kids to a lot without me when I'd be at home with the baby. He'd take the older kids camping and would come back and tell me all about Salida. And I'd be like, oh, very cool. Now, we need more diapers or whatever.
and
And
then
so,
you had no idea years later that would become like a
no.
central focus for
Oh,
most of your
yeah.
thoughts.
It's like it's almost like it's tied their camping experiences with my searching for Suzanne experiences like together. And it kind of, in a way, it almost kind of brought me closer with the family because they got a little bit more taste of what I'm doing. And I got to experience their camping with them.
Oh, I can totally see that. You know what else though? The fact that we're having all these strange connections, these coincidences.
Oh, yeah.
You ought to really talk to your husband about places that they went camping, specific things that stand out, and go look in those places because there's some must have been some kind of reason that was connected.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and the even weirder thing about it is that we weren't even planning on going camping. I was just up there and I said, hey, you should take the kids camping this weekend because he was kind of looking for something to do. And I said, you should take the kids camping. I was like, why don't you go near where I am and then I'll come join you. But the irony is that my husband and I actually met in person on Halloween. And the irony is that this was like, what, a month ago. So it wasn't even October yet. And he called that campground and found out that that weekend they were doing a trick-or-treating type thing at the campground. So it was almost like it was meant to be for us to go and like trick or treat as a family. It was really cool. It was really, really cool.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it was awesome.
It
Wonderful.
was. It was fun. And we needed that because the last year has just been so hard, with the pandemic and everything. And so we just kind of needed that to kind of bring us all back together. So it was really fun. Yeah.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
the little video clip showed an amazing family. So you were definitely blessed, BC.
Well, that was really sweet. My point in posting was really more to say, look at me, I almost fell in the river.
It's like, look what an uncoordinated goof I am. But you weren't. You were amazing. You went
Oh
right
my
across
God.
it. It was awesome.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. It's funny, like to listen to you tell the story of how we met, because from my perspective, I'm just a basic person. Like I don't have a channel. I'm not out there. I'm just me. And so for me to be sitting there and for you to look at me like I was somebody that is known, and you were like all excited to be talking to me, and I was like, wait a minute, you're jewels of thought.
Yeah, but I'm curious. When I looked at you, because you have not been a public person, you have been very small. Yeah, I even remember one of your posts said something like, "Why do y'all want subscribers?" I remember it. Um, so, what was that like when somebody turns around and looks at you and says, "Are you BZ Mama?" Like, what was that like in that moment?
Oh, it was surreal. I mean, I've had experiences like that at school because I'm very involved in school. So I've had people go, "Oh, you're so and so's mom." Yes, like, but in a situation where like I'm just a little tiny fish in this huge pond of people that are trying to help search for her and find the answer, for somebody to like look at me and say, "Oh, I recognize you." Like it was really surreal, and like trying to express that to my husband he couldn't grasp what that felt like, because until you experience it you just don't know. And so for me it was like, wow, like, okay, so I'm saying things that people are connecting with.
That someone's actually reading, right?
Yeah. very surreal, very, very, very surreal. But honestly, I mean, it really just kind of solidifies for me, like, why I got involved in this in the first place. And it's really just to connect with other people that have an interest in what I'm interested in, which is trying to help and trying to, um, just make a difference, even if it's a tiny, tiny little difference. Maybe something I say somewhere is exactly what somebody needs to hear in order to get through the day. And so
So
when I think of it in that sense, then yeah, like I want to be out there. I want to be, but it is scary because you're putting yourself out there and everybody comes to it with their own experiences and maybe they're not completely great experiences. And so, we're all kind of floundering around trying to figure out our way as we're going. At least I am. That's my excuse.
no, and I'm the same. I mean, trust me, the idea of having a YouTube channel was nothing even on my horizon. It was so far outside of my own experience or in desire to, it wasn't, it was all accidental. Um,
Hmm.
and then I enjoyed having the contact with other people, and that's how it all kind of got started. So
Yeah.
mine kind of slowly kind of grew into this. I didn't go and say,
Yeah.
I want to be a, social media
Right. It's like an
influencer.
evolution. It's like you
Absolutely.
slowly evolve. And that's what I'm starting to feel like. I've actually caught myself. I was going to dress up as a YouTuber for Halloween. I was going to be a YouTuber. And I was like, this kind of ironic because I almost kind of like have been thinking about, like, I don't want to be a YouTuber, but I've almost been thinking about how I like the connections that I make with people through your channel and AK's channel and through Twitter and through these different outlets. And so it's almost like sometimes I want to have a conversation about a particular thought or idea I'm having. And I start reaching out to everybody I know, and they're all busy with their own stuff. And so it's like, okay, maybe I should do a channel or something where I can kind of put my thought out there and then people can chime in and then we can have a conversation about it, if that makes any sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. Because I love the true crime stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
People, my family thinks I'm crazy because
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to talk about these cases of people that,
Mm-hmm.
my brother said, why? Like these are
Yeah.
people that got hurt and why? I'm like, I don't know why, but I do. So,
Well, I think
and
it's in some place I feel like we can connect on like a deep, deep level. We can connect to the pain or the experience or something in it that is very like primal in us. And you want to recognize that in other people and say, hey, I see you. I see what you're going through and you're not alone.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and this is how we do it, is like through
Well,
communicating our experiences.
so in one of my videos from years ago, a long, long, long time ago, I approached that subject. So you want to be a YouTube person or YouTube creator. I think that's what it was called. So you want to be a YouTube
Hmm.
creator, and I kind of explored that idea of what what's the point of becoming a creator or being a subscriber. What is there good that comes from this platform, or does it all ultimately lead to something negative like the drama, the stalking, the cyber bashing, or is there good that can come from it? And one of the things that I talked about at length in that video is the fact that when we're in school, whether it's high school or junior high or college, you have a rich network of people, social contacts, and you find one another according to what your interests are, right?
Hmm.
And then we get married, we start having children, we get a little isolated. Um,
Hmm.
but we're still have the personality of who we are is still there, and the
Hmm.
things that interest us still interest us, but we the immediate people in our lives, it's all about work and family and
Yep.
not those kinds of ideas or hobbies that kind of excite us. And
Right.
in some ways, I kind of look at the YouTube platform or social media, I guess, in general. But I look at the YouTube platform as my group. Like you had a group when you were in high school, or you had a group when you
Hmm.
were in college. And that's what it seems like. It seems like the people on YouTube, you talk about the things that the individual you is interested in, but
Yes.
talk about family and children. That is with your family. That's with your real life group, right?
Right.
So it kind of gives you an outlet for a wider social contact of
Hmm.
like-minded people, and in that sense I think it's incredibly healthy.
I think so too. And for me, like, because I don't really have a close relationship with my family and don't want one, um, I kind of lack that outlet. So it's been really helpful, like diving into what is interesting to me. I mean, I got to a place in motherhood where my kids, don't need me in the same ways that they did when they were really little. And so I found myself saying, well, what am I interested in? Well, I'm interested in all these people that are missing. And like, how can I get involved? And then when Gannon went missing, like I actually started going out and searching, and because I was like, I'm home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've got 2 hours until I have to get my kids from school, and I've done all my chores for the day. So this is my time. And my time was going out and looking in certain places and different areas in Castle Rock and down towards Monument. And that's what I would do. And I just kind of started being like, I like doing this. And so but it was feeding something in me that I didn't
Absolutely.
even realize I needed to feed. Does that
Yeah,
make sense? It was
absolutely.
like
I
because
recognize
I was
that.
doing the mom thing and the wife thing and the family and really plugged into it and just very minimally listening to like the things that I'm at my core interested in. And so I just kind of found myself saying, I have the time and what am I interested in and what am I going to do now with this new chapter of my life? And so because I don't really have like the family outlet, and then of course, I've got friends and stuff. Most of my friends are moms from school.
Exactly,
And most of
absolutely.
them are not interested in the negativity of true crime.
There you go. There you go. Yep.
So, it's like I'm not talking to those groups of friends about these things that I'm really interested in. And so, I just kind of started turning towards once I have to be honest, for the longest time I thought YouTube was a kid's platform. So, because
Well,
all I know are kids that have
the
channels.
parents have taken over.
So once I realized, oh, like there's a whole world of information and knowledge out there, like I can tap into, like that really helped me kind of expand my interest and take, and then, back to the whole family thing. Along the way, I feel like I've kind of created my own family and, with the different relationships and connections I've made. And you don't have to know somebody for a really long time and have a deep deep relationship with somebody. If you can figure out how to get to know like who they are at their core
Absolutely. Yes.
and see that, and for me it's all about intent. Like I could go on forever talking about intent, but
Me
it's
too, girl.
all
That's it.
it's
Motivation, intent, that's
right.
everything. Yeah,
Exactly, because it taints every single thing you do.
that's right.
And you might have an ulterior motive, but you're trying to look like you don't. But if people know how to read that intent, then you can learn to see through it. So anyway, I just for myself, I'm starting to say, you know what, it's okay to like to feel towards these other people that I don't really know as a human, but I know their intent and I know what their heart is going for.
Yeah.
And that's the connection I go for. So, like, I might call somebody my brother because they really do feel like my brother. Like,
Yeah.
I care about them as if I had a brother. That's the kind of compassion and love I feel towards some of these people. So, it's been really eye-opening for me learning that you can have family your family can really be whoever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be,
Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
And sometimes family are the people that cause the most pain, and
ugh,
you may have to, still love, but love from afar.
right, exactly. And it's hard because like with my mom, she doesn't get it. She just doesn't get it. Like if she could just tweak a few things about the way she manages our interactions, then we'd have better interactions and I'd actually want to interact with her. But she can't wrap her head around the fact that, I've done a lot of work on myself and she has to do some in herself. And so, it's like you get to a point where you're like, okay, I've been battling this long enough and trying to get through to you and trying to show you who I am. And it's like you can't. There comes a point where you just kind of have to say, okay, I have to let this be and walk away. It's hard. It's really hard.
It
But
can be very hard.
when you have support, and I'm finding that support, and when you have the support and the people that will help you not hold you up, but help you hold yourself up,
Exactly.
that's where it is. And I
Absolutely.
have found that in a whole bunch of people that you name all the time on your show.
I know. I know. I
They
know.
have compassion, they have heart, they have grit, they have,
But,
and
you
and
know where all
that's
that comes from? All of that comes from the authenticity that
mhm,
they're being real. They're not
yes,
playing some kind of game. They're not putting on. There's no facade, no act that they're a certain person, but really they're something else.
right.
They're legitimately trying to live an authentic life.
Exactly. And the intent is you see the intent. You see that they're not trying to do something nefarious or manipulative. You see and you feel that it's real. And not everybody, I'm 46 and I'm just now starting to figure this stuff out. So, I think you're lucky if you can at some point in your life have that. What were you calling it? Self-actualization?
Self-actualization. Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Huge.
People that are really really caught up and self-obsessed and only thinking of themselves,
Hmm.
they suffer terribly.
Yeah.
um Welcome to the world of Hollywood. Look at the movie stars and the music stars. They implode, they self-destruct because they are so hyper focused inward.
Hmm.
um the process of achieving self-actualization is when you get to a point where you recognize that your meaning is inherently dependent upon the greater culture, the greater humanity. That
Hmm.
if the greater culture is not doing well, then you yourself will not do well. And so
Exactly.
you have a moral imperative to do whatever you can to make the greater society better,
Hmm.
to take care of your part, your sphere of influence. And then if
Right.
everyone else can take care of their sphere of influence, then you can have a dramatically wonderful life experience and you leave
Right.
the world better than the way you found it. But a
And
lot
it's
of people
looking for,
just can't get there, BZ.
yeah, well, and it's looking inside. It's like I remember reading a quote not very long ago and it really resonated. And it said, we spend so much time in our lives looking for acceptance outside of our skin. Like you're on the inside of your skin. Look for that acceptance on the inside where you live.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's hard to do. And
And that
oh
is at the
boy.
heart. That is at the heart of just about not every anxiety problem, but the majority of anxiety problems. People that are
Yes.
really suffering with true anxiety, when you talk to them, it will always come out that it's always about them somehow feeling less than. That
Yes.
somehow there's something about them that's just not good enough, that just doesn't measure up. And so they're fearful that others will know. And there you get
Yes.
the birth of anxiety. So
Yep.
you're exactly right. You look inward, you find that self acceptance, define who you want to be, and then go through the steps to become that person that you want to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. So, question. I hate to change the subject, but also, I love to hear about your experiences because you are one of the few people that has been face to face with Barry Morphew.
Oh gosh,
I
yes.
know. So I had said when I got back from the preliminary hearing, I
Mm-hmm.
said, he is a very intense person. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't I didn't have any words with him. I didn't speak to him, as you know, because Beezy and I were sitting together at the hearing in the courtroom. But there's
Mm-hmm.
something about his stare, the way he looks at you.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a really odd presence. Do you agree?
When you say when he looks at you, do you just mean in general when he looks at anybody, like the person he's looking at, he kind of has a bizarre, or do
Well,
you
I
mean
don't know.
specifically when he looked at me?
Well, okay. So when he looked at me, when I walked in and he made eye contact, immediately I had a visceral reaction, and it was, "Oh my God!"
Mm.
It's his gaze is piercing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It real. I mean, you notice it. Well, so I sat down. I didn't look again. I kept my head down, whatnot. But then later on that day, you were talking about your experience with him, and I recognized the the strange
Mm.
stare. But he did
The
something
feeling
to
it gave
you.
you.
He did something to you that I did. I was talking about in general. He just has a really powerful presence. But something
He
happened with
does.
you in the courtroom that was crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting. Um, we were sitting there, and the day before, so we get into the courtroom, and the day before, I had set my phone. I had like, I don't know if you remember, but I had like a pile of stuff, like a blanket and a coat and just a bunch of stuff. So I was able to set my phone kind of up on it, like next to me. So that way, if it lit up like with a message or if the school was calling or something, I could see it and like grab my phone and run out if I needed to or whatever. But this particular day, I didn't have a pile of stuff. And when I sat my phone on that little, I call it a church pew bench. When I sat my phone on that little bench, it like, because of the way the bench was slanted, it like slid down, and it's a wooden bench. So my phone slid down and banged into my cup, which was empty, and the ice jingled and it made a sound. And it's very quiet in that courtroom. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want to bring attention to myself. Interestingly. And
But
so
you
I'm like,
did.
right. I'm like, okay, I don't want to bring attention to myself with this phone. So I set it down on the floor, kind of propped up against the foot of the pew in front of me. And so I could see my phone. That way, if it lit up with a message, I'd catch it in my, peripheral vision. And so I set my phone down, and then I get back to paying attention because court is just now starting. And just like 2 seconds later, the court officer is coming my way, and he's standing next to me and he's pointing at my phone. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh crap. The placement of my phone looks like it's propped up to record Barry. It's like, I didn't realize that when I said it there, but it did. So he took note of that. I actually was quite impressed with the officer that he's doing his job, because we've seen security there and it's a little lax.
It was very lax.
So I was like, oh, good, someone's doing his job. And so at that moment that he's like pointing at my phone and I'm kind of trying to whisper through my mask, I'm trying to say, it's all good. It's just there so I can see it if it lights up. And he was like, okay, that's good. Like he could see that my phone wasn't recording, it wasn't, being used. And so he's all good and he's getting ready to walk back over to his seat. Just then, the judge interrupts the witness and speaks to the officer and asks the officer if everything is okay, at which point the officer says, yes, I thought we had an issue, which we do not, and it's all good. At which point the judge looks at me and says, just to remind the gallery, and I'm not saying that you did, but there is no recording in this courtroom. And I just sat there nodding my head like, yes, sir, I'm obeying. I know the rules. We're all good. Just misunderstanding. And as I'm kind of nodding my head and making eye contact with the judge, Barry turned from his chair,
Oh
and
my
the way
God.
he looked at me, it was as if it was the first time I had seen him in this other light. It's like the first couple times I was around him, it's like it kind of slowly, his veil was kind of slowly starting to fall. But this particular moment in court, the way he looked at me, the way he turned his head, almost like his eyes were saying to me, how dare you interrupt this proceeding? That is what his eyes said to me, not the
Well,
judge. That was Barry's eyes.
you saw the predator.
I saw something in those eyes that I have not ever seen before, and it didn't scare me. I wasn't scared. I wasn't intimidated. I'm not scared by this man. What it told me was who he is,
Yes.
and it was very, very enlightening for me because you have a hard time when you know somebody and they're accused of something that you cannot imagine. Your interaction with them has been positive, and so you can't look at this person and say, what, like your brain just can't make that connection. If you've never met somebody and they're being accused of something, then you have no reference to draw from, and so you're like, oh yeah, he's guilty, look at all the circumstantial evidence. But when you've
And
had an
look at
interaction.
and look
What's
at
that?
this is so interesting for me because okay, so for those of y'all that don't know, so BZ Mama actually has taught she knew Barry before the story broke out,
Well,
okay?
did not know him.
Had an
I had one,
encounter.
yes,
Okay,
and
so she,
recognized him and was able to put two and two together.
okay,
And
so
then
she had a conversation with Barry
mhm,
before before Suzanne went missing, right?
3 months, 3 months
Oh my
before she went
God.
missing.
Oh my God. So
That's
three
what
months
made my stomach turn upside down that day. I realized
who he
that
was.
this missing person that I'm interested in is married to the guy I talked to at the car wash. I was like, my husband was up in the
Wow.
attic. He was like showing the kids the attic. They're all up there having fun. And I go to the attic stairs and I'm all shaking. I'm having a panic attack.
Oh yeah.
And I'm aware of it. And I'm like, I need you. I need you to come down. Like I couldn't even form a sentence because I was in such shock because the encounter I had with him was so good.
It was
And
so
that's
normal, wasn't it?
normal. And I have a behavioral science degree. Like, and I just took it at face value that this is a totally, when I left the car wash that day, I felt like the conversation I had with that guy was so good. I felt like that's the kind of guy that would give you a shirt off his back.
Oh
Like,
my
that's
God,
the
that's
kind of
so
guy.
scary that you say that.
It's
Oh my God.
super frightening. And now
So
it's like,
scary.
it's definitely changed how I'm perceiving
You're being a
people.
little more discerning, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, but
Okay,
it's that's how it works, That's how they get you. That's how they manipulate you. They're very, very nice.
100%. Yes.
Which is why I stuck around my mom and dad and my sister for so long because they were so nice. But then they'd
Right.
stab me in the back, and then they'd be so
Exactly.
nice, and it's
Yeah,
just it's
so
confusing.
it's very hard to be a narcissist if you're offensive and rude, right? You the
A
A
little bit,
narcissist learns to manipulate people to endear themselves to you.
right?
So it's an act though. Stick around long enough, the real person will come out. But in the
Right.
beginning, you get a lot of really positive accolades. They go through the motions that look very, very normal. They say all the right things. Oh, I love your shoes. Where'd you get them? Oh, that's such a cool, only you could wear such a great haircut. You know, they say
Mm-hmm.
all these things that really make you think that is really one nice person. But
Mm-hmm.
then, 6 months down the road, you realize, wait a minute, I know I had $100 bill in my purse. Where did it go? That's so
Yep.
odd. Yeah. So
Yep.
anyway, so Barry, he's got that kind of laid back, cool kind of demeanor, right?
He's your friend.
It,
He's your friend. He wants to be your friend.
well,
Yeah.
my
That's the
first
that's how they
my
get you.
my first encounter with him, he couldn't say a word because he was in the courtroom, and I
Right.
walked in, and truly the way that he looks at people, and it could have been 100%, I'm willing to admit, it could have been the setting itself. I mean, here's this guy, he's going to be on
Mm-hmm.
trial for a heinous crime. He
Mm-hmm.
recognizes that he's become a YouTube sensation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that he was curious who all these people were, these strangers. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that when he was looking at people coming in, he was looking to see, do I know you? And
Mm-hmm.
with the mask on everybody's face, that makes it a little harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was responding to. Maybe when I saw him, he saw me. Maybe he was looking at me, realizing I recognize her, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I know I've
Right.
seen her, but I don't know who she is. Maybe that's where that intense kind of, but I didn't like it. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's way too, direct. That made me really, weird.
Well, I
But
think it's that part of his personality that where he needs to know who these people are that are coming in and interested in his life and what's going on. Like it's that whole needing to control the narrative thing.
and how is he going to manipulate them, right?
Right, exactly. I had one friend say, "Oh, I'm sure he'll recognize you even with a mask on." And I was even wearing the same mask I was wearing when I went to his house. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, I wonder if
And
he
he did,
will."
but he did recognize you.
I don't know. I don't know that he did.
Oh, I
I
bet he
really
did.
don't.
I
I
bet he
think
did.
now he probably knows that I was there because I spoke to his mom, I spoke to his sister, um, and then of course, yeah. So
So tell me, what's your opinion of the mother, Shirley?
um,
Shirley, you just.
I, I think that, gosh, she loves her son. I'll tell
She's
you that.
devoted, isn't she?
What?
She's devoted.
She is a devoted mother. Yes. She is a devoted mother. I respect that. I respect I respect the fact that that people support their family.
Of course. Yeah.
And I support them supporting him. That's the thing, and that's where I think I have a hard time because I want to be supportive of how people are feeling and what they're going through,
Mm-hmm.
and not interject my judgment or my opinion. So I felt like I was walking a fine line, but staying authentic to myself and true to who I am is that I really genuinely, deeply do care about people,
Yeah.
even people that do bad things. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that or a lot of negative kickback, but I do believe that people do bad things but can still have goodness in them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No
And
doubt.
it's not easy to see the bad in your loved ones. And so I recognize the whole blinders issue. And it's not my place to point out somebody else's flaws because, people can already see them. I feel like my place is to just support wherever people are at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
whether I agree or don't agree. So once we start talking about family, it gets a little fuzzy for me because, oh, you look so cute. Oh, I can't wait. Sorry, my daughter's getting ready for Halloween and she's,
Oh, that's
who are you again?
wonderful.
Pennywise.
Oh,
She's like
Pennywise.
Pennywise.
Oh, good
Yeah.
girl. I like her already. Pennywise is scary.
Can we? I'll help you in a minute, okay? Okay. Yeah,
Um,
she's super cute because she's like this little tiny little person, and she's got this
and
like
she's going to
super
be a
creepy
scary
costume.
clown. I love it. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
No,
So
I'm the same. I'd said from the beginning that I didn't want to discuss the kids, not to
no,
bring
yeah,
up, Mallory and Macy.
yeah, definitely.
And I went through the whole deal why, that
Hmm.
with parents and loss, and it's just you can't, anything that they do to survive what's happened to their family is the right thing for them, and it's not our
Right,
position to make any kind of judgment on it. Even if they may not
right,
even act in a way that you think is appropriate, it's not up to us to determine what's appropriate. They're in a unique situation that
right,
none of us have ever experienced, so
right.
whatever they do to
Exactly,
survive is the right thing for them. um,
exactly.
for Shirley doesn't like me so much, and I can't say that I blame her, because I have been pretty outspoken about
Right.
what I think about Barry and some choices and things that he's done. Um, so that's okay, but at the same time, I respect very much that she is so devoted to her son, and
Hmm.
I'm very concerned. I think if things go in the way that I think they're going to, I think there'll be a moment where she will have a terrible, um, things will become difficult for
Like a
her. And
reckoning.
yeah, and so
Hmm.
I think she's probably, if this horrible nightmare had not happened in her
Hmm.
family,
Yeah.
I think she's a wonderful lady and would have been a perfectly, average, regular life, right? Well
Hmm.
loved by her church members and well loved by her friends and family, and a good, happy life. This is going to be so foreign. The process of the trial is
Hmm.
going to be so foreign to anything that she's ever even considered, right? Like we get into all this true crime stuff, and we kind of go through these trials and whatnot,
Hmm.
like as a by proxy type of thing.
Right.
But not for someone like her. This is so foreign to
This
anything
is
that
her
would have.
baby.
Yeah, absolutely. and
I mean,
and
this is
that
her
she hasn't.
baby.
We've been through how unpredictable and crazy the law can be, right? And
Hmm.
that's with people we don't know, people that we
Hmm.
don't have any personal connection to. Can you imagine this being your child that you love so much, and now you find yourself in the middle of this maelstrom? It's
Hmm.
it's going to be. I think it's going to. This family is going to need a lot of compassion. There's no
Oh,
doubt about it.
totally.
Yeah,
And I tried to express some of that to his sister and to his mom, but I have to also recognize that from their perspective, I'm the enemy. From their perspective, I'm against
absolutely.
them,
Me
you
too.
know,
Yeah,
and
me too.
and I'm not at all. I want justice, and nobody has the right to take someone's life,
Right.
you know, and I understand that they're in a very hard situation, and it's unfortunate that their lives are kind of being dragged through the mud and putting a little bit of a stain on their face. I mean, like, I get all of that. And I have compassion that they didn't ask for any of this. They didn't bring any of this on themselves.
Absolutely.
And they're just
Yeah,
trying to survive. Like, they're trying to get through with their knowledge and their experience and their own set of wisdom. They're trying to get through this the best that they can.
and let
So, I
me
mean,
let me say this. You know, I was really happy to see where she put up a list. I thought this was so healthy and proactive. She ended up putting up a list of the registered sex offenders in Prescott, um, Arizona.
who did?
The mom. And
Really?
yeah. And
Is that where you got your list? Because you said you had the list.
well, I started with that one, but then I went
Okay.
through the state, and then I also went through the county level, and I added like 17 more people.
Oh, wow.
I took out 12 because they were pedophile. Well, I only went with 17 and older as the victims. So
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, um, when I saw that list that she put out, I thought to myself, why is the mother of the defendant? Why are they having to do that when you have a prosecutor and an entire prosecution team? Right? Why wasn't this done before the preliminary hearing?
Yeah, I'm fuzzy on all of that. And even though I attended the hearings, I'm still fuzzy on what exactly when that came out, when
Okay,
that
so
came
what
out.
they're claiming, okay, and there's also some science involved in this that is going to be it's going to end up being at the heart of the civil case. I mean, if eventually it will also work itself into the criminal, but for the short term, this is going to come out and be a really important factor in the civil case. Here's the deal. So the defense is saying you got a DNA match. Okay, that's what the defense is saying. The prosecution, who's actually the people at the lab, they have a partial match, which is a whole different ball game. It's not
Right.
even close. So with a partial match, they will the legal determination is a partial DNA match is an additional avenue of investigation, quote unquote. It doesn't mean that the person that left that DNA in Suzanne's car was someone that committed this crime.
Right. Because
It
I have a
means
theory on how that got there.
well anyway. So there's a lot that can go wrong in a partial match. Now, I
Right.
think it's probably been pretty well covered. It could be a family member. Let's say you've got one brother who works in a bicycle shop, and then his brother is a serial rapist, and
Mm-hmm.
they go to Las Vegas for the weekend, and the rapist brother leaves a strand of hair on the coat of the non-rapist brother who works
Mm-hmm.
on bicycles, and then that hair
Exactly.
ends up falling off into the floor or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could end up with a family member, a family association, but it could be even further removed than that.
Like
It could
just
be
transfer
that the
DNA.
match, the actual CODIS match, is from a completely different person, but they matched up on, let's say, age, gender,
Mm-hmm.
blood type, and serotonin receptors,
Yeah.
right? It's such an exact science now. You can still be. You want to know something? Here's true. Part of my DNA will match up with the DNA from a mountain gorilla. That
Right.
doesn't mean I'm a mountain gorilla, although my haters may tell you that would be true.
I
I'm
happen to
ready
like
to own
mountain
it.
gorillas, so we're all good.
I love mountain gorillas, right? Come, welcome to the
Yeah.
family. Okay. So because the DNA is so specific, um, you could have a match with these other people or species, um,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that's not really you. So what's at stake here is not what is different. Why is it a partial match? You got to figure out, is the thing that's matching unique to the rapist and what was left in the car, or is
Right.
it something a little bit more general? Now, they supposedly knew the identity of one of the rapes. They supposedly knew the identity August 3rd. Please don't hold me to that date. 3rd or 4th, something like that, which was before the preliminary hearing, correct? But what they did not know clinically is which part of the DNA is the match, and was it the part that was matched up in CODIS? That's what. So that's the problem. So this is kind of one of those weird situations in science where, nah, you're not right, but you're really not wrong either. So I think the civil case is going to it's going to be a battle uphill. It is my opinion that when you don't have a good, this is basketball. My dad was a huge basketball player, coach, fan. If you don't have the best defense is a strong offense. You don't even have to have a defense if your offense is just killer, right? Because in the game of basketball, people that are on offense are not playing defense. So if you're able to stay on offense, you don't have to worry about it. So I think that's what's happening with Barry and his team. I don't think there is a defense. I think the way that Linda Stanley laid out the case, what they were choosing to focus on, it's one of those things where, no, Barry, you don't have a good answer for why you did that. And you've admitted that you did it. So why did you do it? I think there is no defense. Because Barry kept changing his story. And I think that the goal now for his defense team is, okay, let's go on the offense. And so they're suing 26 officials. It's unbelievable.
Which I don't even know what to say.
Right?
The trial hadn't even started yet.
But I mean, that's what they're doing.
Oh my gosh.
26 attorneys.
So would this be grounds for, would this possibly be grounds for like moving the trial somewhere else with like
1
different players?
100%. Absolutely.
And now who can do that? Because I've said from the start, I'd be willing to go up there and try to get a change of venue, but
they've got to move it out of Chapin County. They've got to.
Yeah, I think it has to be like family or attorneys. I don't know.
Yeah.
But something's fishy, something's not.
And I agree with Gonzo. So Gonzo said they've got to find Suzanne. I agree. I think you find Suzanne, I think it's game over at that point. And in fact, now I've been on record all along saying that a person like Barry Morphew, everything that we know about him, there's no way he'll ever make a deal. Now, Chris McDonough, he says, oh, he's going to take a deal. He's going down. He's taking a deal. Okay. No, he's not.
He just says that to get people to listen to him.
Yeah. You've talked to Barry. Do you believe that that's the kind of person that will take a deal? Do you think he's going to give up 15, 20 years of his freedom?
No way. No way.
No, he would
He's
rather
going to stand firm. No way. He's taking that to his grave.
There you go.
He did not do anything to Suzanne.
There you go.
He's never going to say that he did.
And he is more comfortable in the backcountry than he is in his own $1 million cabin. So
he doesn't really, if you think about it, he doesn't really have a life anymore. He snuffed that out.
Everything.
So his life now is basically trying to haunt 225.
Isn't that creepy?
That's basically his life. I mean, he doesn't really want anybody in that area. I know. I was actually there not very long ago with my daughter, and his truck drove by and scared the crap out of her. And so, of course, not me, because I'm like, I'm not scared of this person. Now, I might be a little scared of his girlfriend.
Hey.
I don't know about that either.
One chick I wouldn't be happy to see coming toward me.
Yeah, no, that's a little more intimidating to me at this point. But yeah, I just feel like anybody that goes over there. I mean, I've had people call me and say, hey, I went to Foosa's Creek to do some fishing, and there was a couple guys there that kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies, so I left. And by their description, it sounds like people that live in the area. So I'm like, just don't do it. You
It
know, unless
is
you're
kind
going
of
there to look for
strange.
Suzanne or you know, to feel her spirit or something,
Yeah.
don't do it. It's just not worth it,
What
is
is
what I say.
what? Look. So imagine this, okay? So you have this gorgeous multi-million dollar property. You're literally living in heaven,
Hmm.
literally, right? You've got this
Literally.
beautiful wife, these gorgeous kids. You've done such a good job raising. They're successful. They got good grades, going to college. Blah blah blah. You're living in heaven. You've got your own business owner. You got your freedom. You've got your health. You got everything there. And whether he just was overwhelmed by the fact she was leaving or whatever happened that transpired, the worst thing that has ever happened to you in your life is that your wife goes missing and the world thinks you did it, right? You
Mm-hmm.
lose your business, you lose your house, your piece of heaven. you
Mm-hmm.
you can no longer be around your children. I mean, your life is literally erased. And
Isn't
half
there a
of the
Bible
people,
story? Isn't
yeah.
there a Bible story about a guy that this basically happened to and he didn't crucify God? He still was blessed by God?
I, so
Clearly, it's not Barry Morfield. Bible
exactly.
story.
So would you, as a human being, you get released on bail, which was a miracle, right? That was a gift. He gets released on bail. You're going to have a little bit of your freedom back. You're not going to be able to do all the things you love, but at least you'll have the freedom to walk around, Would you want to go back to the place where the worst thing that had ever happened to you in your life had occurred and would be a constant memory? There's your gorgeous house, but you can't go in it. There's your beautiful property, but you can't walk on it. Would you want to be there and be taunted and miserable by the daily reminders? Or would you take your multi millions and go find a beautiful place in a different part of the county where you can at least be at peace as you work on your defense?
Exactly.
It's bizarre. It's against
Exactly.
human nature that he went back there to that Cushman property where he is in misery of all he's lost.
Well, and not only that, but he's just kind of continuing the negative saga
Yes.
by running everybody out of the area, by
Yes.
intimidating people.
And he's not a
Like,
property owner there anymore.
no, he's not. No,
It's
no,
very
definitely not.
strange what he did. There's a reason he's there. There's a reason he's there. I don't know what it is. I'm telling you, I know human beings.
Right.
He's there for a reason. There's a purpose that
Hmm.
he's there, but we
I
don't know what it
agree.
is.
I agree. And I think what you say, like, most people would come out of a court situation after being in jail for like 2 months and say, okay, I don't want to go back there. So tell me everything I need to not do,
Yes.
or
Yes.
tell me what I can do and go do that.
Yeah. I don't
But
want to get
to
in trouble.
basically just say, I don't really care. I'm going to do whatever I want and do that is, I mean, it says a lot,
Yeah.
I
It,
think.
it it's it, it's concerning. And the strange little, jog that the show pony took going up to the house and collecting the package, there's something that they're up to something. They're
Well, and
testing the limits.
the
And
irony of that package story, I have some inside info on that actually. The irony to that story is that, from what I've been told, by the person who actually was called by the cops, there was this person who drove down Puma Path and apparently possibly show was witnessing this person drive down the street and called the police. And so when the police went to look, they ended up getting the footage from the homeowner, and that's how they discovered that Show had actually been the one to go onto the property and cause that theft.
Wait.
Where
I misunderstood you. Show called the police?
what I was told was that this lady was driving down Puma Path and saw Show, well, as she was turning onto Puma Path, saw Show in the Cushman's yard and in the backyard. And when she turned down Puma Path, went down, turned around, and came back up, she said that Show was then in the front yard watching her, like almost like trying to chase after her, is what it made, she sounded like. And then she turned and went on up to Foos's and then was approached by some guys that kind of scared her. But as it turns out, she's like, well, so, I left Foos's because I was a little scared. It was kind of creepy. And I went back to my hotel. And then the next day, the police were calling her and asking her about her, her time over there in the neighborhood. And turns out she didn't do anything wrong, so she didn't get into any trouble. But it was because Shoshana called the police on this lady that Shoshana got herself arrested.
And so she called the police on this lady who's in the neighborhood, but then Shoshana went over to Puma Path to create a distraction to get the attention of the police.
I'm not sure exactly how it went down. The lady that I talked to, she said, I don't know if they get packages delivered over there like regularly and they just don't want, like, she doesn't know. Like, we don't know. All she knew was that as the cops were telling her that they reviewed the footage and they were like, you're fine, you're good. But it turns out the lady that called you in is the one that we ended up arresting.
She was totally creating a distraction.
She totally got herself in trouble.
The men that confronted your friend, the lady, what did they say to her?
Oh, I'll help you in a minute.
What were they doing down there?
She wasn't sure. She didn't really know.
That's who I would look at. What were they up to? Because obviously Shosho was the lookout.
Right. And that was her concern. And that was why she was getting in touch with me. And we were trying to determine like who the people were, if they were just people that were at Foos's that were out for a jog, or if they were at Foos's out to intimidate. And just because of what you said, it felt, for her, it felt more like, hi. It felt more like a
distraction.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted because my kids just got home.
Oh.
So yeah, I think she just was like, I don't know about this, but I'm leaving because, she's just a woman there by herself. And
well, let me tell you this. So when we had when we were there for the preliminary, I went up to Barry's old house, the Puma Path house. I went around the driveway. I went into the property, drove around the driveway. When I came back out, I pulled in, where no, you're fine. You know where the trash bin is?
Yes.
I pulled into that. It looks like it should be like a house, maybe a future house location or something. I pulled in there, parked. I got out. I walked all around. I took photographs. I bet I was up there 45 minutes. Picked up some rocks from the bottom of the hill. No one said a word to me. Nothing. I was there that long, and I had driven onto the Puma Path property. I drove around the driveway because it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't remember exactly where it was. I thought I had another house to go by, but it was actually the actual house. There was a red truck that was there. A guy was getting ready to go fishing. There was a red truck. When I drove around the driveway, he waved at me. I waved and pulled over right by the trash receptacle and then walked down and looked around and took some pictures, picked up some rocks. And I was there a long time. Nobody called the cops on me, Shosho. I didn't have any trouble, Shosho.
Well, and I find that interesting too, because I've driven down there quite a few times. Ironically, up until he was let out of jail, the gates were open all the time. Now that he's been out of jail, I've been noticing that both gates at both entrances are
They're locked.
both locked, closed all the time, which was why I found it interesting that this gal was able to drive down the road. But she even
Yeah.
said, she's like, well, they had a delivery from UPS, so they probably like opened the gates for the delivery, and she just happened to be, because this was right around the same time that supposedly Shoshana stole the package. So it was like, what? Like, it's just very, very fishy. But that lady just got the biggest kick out of telling me that Shoshana was trying to get her in trouble and ended up getting herself in trouble.
Golly, it's a mess, isn't it?
If
It's
you
just
don't have bad
crazy.
intentions, then you don't end up with stuff like that happening.
Of
That's
course.
why intent is so huge. People just
Absolutely.
don't get it.
Absolutely. And
You-
how many of you guys have been down? I mean, Gonzo's there all the time. AK, they don't get the cops called on them. There was
No.
something else. There was something else going on. There was something else
Yeah.
going on. She was trying to create a distraction, a diversion, I think.
Yeah, and I think that lady just happened to be there at bad timing.
Yeah, I think it
all of
could have
that.
been anybody, right? She would have
Mhm.
anybody that if I had driven by at that time, she would have called the cops and said, "Hey, there's somebody here."
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
definitely.
Crazy. Well, you need to have somebody with you when you go down there. You know that?
Oh yeah, I don't go over there anymore. Ever since he's been let out of jail, I won't. I mean, I was over there just that one time, and I didn't have my car. I had somebody else's car, but with my daughter, my daughter's so sweet. She wanted to put flowers down at the little memorial area.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
went to the store, and I mean, she spent like 10 minutes picking out the right flowers, and it was really sweet. She prayed over each little flower that she dropped down there.
That's so sweet.
And I left them like that. I mean, we kind of hightailed it out of there after that weird incident.
Talk about energy. That is quite a humbling place, isn't it?
Yeah,
Where the memorial is.
Definitely, it is.
You can feel it.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel the love of all
Yeah.
the people that care, and
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really sweet.
Yep.
So sweet.
And that's what I said to my husband. I don't think she was there, right? I don't think she drove the bicycle and I don't think it's anything like that. I think that the power of the place is that there's so many people that really, really cared about her that have been there, and that's kind of become like her final resting place. That's where
Well, that was
people
her
go.
home, at least for 2 years. I mean, that's been her home, and so, I drive through the streets and walk up and down the roads over there and think, this was home for her. This was her. I mean, not home, like Indiana obviously will always be home, but this is what she was doing in her last days, her last years of her life. This is where she was.
Well,
and so I go over there to feel that energy. But right now, you're not going to get any of that. You're only going to get all the other bad stuff that's going on.
Well, I had an interesting encounter. The second day, because you were there. So the second day, I gave up my seat to someone
yes.
so that they could, be in the courtroom. And I went over to the fairgrounds to watch.
How was that, by the way?
It was, serendipity, right? Things always turn out for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't happy about giving up my seat. I mean, obviously,
you got there early.
but if you're a good person, and
you are, yes.
I just thought this would be, but anyway, so she went in instead of me. I went over to the fairgrounds. It turned out to be amazing and perfect. And here's why. Number one, it was very interesting to have a different perspective of the courtroom, because when you are watching at the fair barns, there's a camera in the front of the courtroom, so you can see Barry's reactions.
Oh.
And where we were sitting, even though we were just a few feet from him, you can't really see him unless he turns all the way around and looks.
Right.
But when you're at the fairground, when all of this is being discussed and talked about, you see how he is reacting. So that was really, I was really glad that I had done what I did, because it gave me a different view of him, and how he's responding to what's happening to him. The second thing that I was
Right.
really happy about is, well, first of all, so Gabby, there was a lady that I met who is delightful. Well, you know who I'm talking about. So
Oh, I
we
love
ended up,
Gabby.
yeah, so we ended up exchanging contact information. So she's amazing. I'm glad, that worked
Mm-hmm.
out. But the other is that one of Suzanne's friends, well, Suzanne and Barry, one of their friends came up and started talking to me,
The
and,
man or
and
the woman?
the woman.
Okay.
And so it was very interesting to hear her view of things,
Mm-hmm.
to hear her talk about what they had been
Oh,
through since
that's
all of this
right.
happened.
That's right, because that whole group of people that came to the courthouse were rejected
Yes,
and sent down where you were. So you got that whole experience on that end.
yes, yes.
Very cool.
And listen to what she told me. She was very now she told me a lot. We talked a long time, but one of the things, and I was very honest with her. I said, I have a YouTube channel. I'm really covering this case closely. I am not going to say a word of anything you've told me unless it's okay with you. The one thing that she really wanted me to put out is that she was horrified when Barry started talking about Suzanne and her drugs and her drinking problem.
Oh, because she knows
She was
Suzanne.
horrified. She
Yeah.
said that she was one of the first people that Suzanne became friends with there in Colorado, that
Okay.
they were very good friends, that their whole families had become friends together, that she
Aw.
had had mornings around Suzanne, lunchtime, going out at
Aw.
night. They have gone to restaurants. They have cooked in their house. They have cooked at other people's houses. Never, not once, ever has she seen Suzanne Morphew drink an alcoholic beverage.
Right.
Not once.
Yeah.
She said, the other thing she said is that Suzanne was focused on her physical health,
Yep.
and that every day she was either jogging or, doing something physical, and
Mm-hmm.
that the bicycle had been new, but her daily workouts were not, that she
Mm-hmm.
was a health person because that was part of her being cancer free.
Right.
What else did she say? Oh, she said that the 3 years that she knew Suzanne, apparently she met her before they moved out there or something, but the
Okay.
3 years that she had known Suzanne, that she had never seen Suzanne slur her words or look
Right.
unsteady on her feet.
Right. It's just
So
not her.
she said that was hard for her when she found out that Barry was telling the defense team this, and that it
So
was not.
was she feeling kind of like empathy towards Barry at first, and then this information kind of starts coming out and she starts putting the pieces together and like, okay, this isn't adding up and this isn't
She
adding up.
said that she genuinely likes Barry, that
Mm-hmm.
they that
I
they're
can
that,
see that.
yeah, she
I
said
can
that
see that.
her family and Suzanne's family were friends, and that they had spent a lot of social time together, and
Yeah.
that Barry, they didn't see an abusive, angry, mean guy. That,
Right. Of course.
and so she said, really, she really didn't really give it any thought. And then she found out about these accusations of alcoholism and drugs and CBD Temmie, and she was just in shock. And she said, that's not the woman. That's not even a reality for who Suzanne was. She was
Yeah.
really, this was hard for her. I mean, she was,
Hmm.
yeah,
That makes me sad.
it was a humbling conversation to be a part of. You could,
Right?
yeah, you could feel the
Oh.
loss, kind of makes me kind of tear up right now remembering it. But she was a
Yeah.
delightful lady, um, and she just wanted people to know that that just wasn't Suzanne, that what was being
Yeah.
said was not true.
Well, I think most of us know if you're following the case and you've gotten to know the family, I feel like we know that that's just projecting and
Yeah.
like, what is it, victim shaming, trying to make her look worse than him.
Yeah. Yeah. But then you know what I've heard? I've heard that Soho likes to drink. Is that true?
So
What? What'd I
I've
say?
heard it
What?
all.
What's wrong?
Sorry.
I know. I know.
I like that. I
AK,
come up with some
AK
of
would
my
not
own.
be proud.
I know.
Anyway, I hear she likes to, drink a little bit. I don't have any problem with people liking to drink. I don't. That's fine. But what my disagreement is that he slanders her.
Yeah.
That every picture she looks drunk, and the investigator said, well, she was smiling, so maybe that's what he thinks looks drunk, is that she was actually happy, which
Yeah,
is
right.
true, right?
Wow.
I know. And then everybody is a meth head. All these people he surrounds himself with are meth heads, but not him.
But what does it say
Just
about
everybody
him?
else. Right? It's so dumb.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well, you are such a sweetheart to
Oh,
have this conversation with me, and I appreciate it so much.
oh, well, I have been like throwing my phone number at you for like weeks on Twitter. I don't know if you ever see it.
I don't know.
I'm like, here's my number, text me.
Well, okay. So you know what?
But you're busy. You are definitely busy.
Well, I am. Here's the.
Yeah.
I am busy, and I have to start so early in the mornings. I've got a couple of days where I have to be actually at the hospital, which is down at the medical center, so that's a long
Mm-hmm.
drive. I have to be in the building and ready to do what I do at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, it's like 6, 7 o'clock, a couple of nights, 8 o'clock sometimes. It's straight to bed, literally. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, and so,
Yep. During the week. Yep.
and then you'll notice on the weekends, I'm really active, on YouTube and Twitter, but
Yeah.
yeah, during the week, it's pretty, I do work on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. But doing private stuff, but
Yeah, I'd really like to get in, talk to you sometime about more like clinical type stuff about
yeah,
what you do. And
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
have some questions, some ideas on some things that I just kind of would like to run by you and get your professional opinion in that area on some
Of
things.
course, absolutely. But I will tell you, um, I will give you a call, I promise.
Oh, please do. It's
I
been so
will.
good talking to you
Yeah, it's been so
and
wonderful.
all of
And
your millions of listeners.
oh no, 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 no. AK had almost like 200 people in last night listen to
Right.
a live. You
Yeah.
want to know something? I'm gonna tell you this. If AK and Scientific Skeptic, if they would do like a weekly show, or like maybe every 2 weeks, or you could even do like once a month. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, they would
Yeah, they
take
were
off.
good. I
So
agree.
good. So
Very
good.
entertaining.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
need to do it. They do. They need to do it. So, all right, girl. I know you've got some exciting Halloween festivities to do.
Yes, I'm gonna go help paint faces.
Well, that is going to be
So
so fun. I take pictures.
I will for
Yeah,
sure.
that's so wonderful. Okay, well, you are a
Awesome.
sweetheart, BZ. I appreciate you.
You
And see,
too.
it's
Thank you
not
for
so
having me
bad to
on.
get on panel.
No, it was really just like the first 3 minutes, and then after that, I kind of forgot.
then you forget that there's hundreds of people watching, right?
Yeah, you know what? I always try to just go through life with the idea that whatever I'm saying, if it gets out into another context, to make sure that it's appropriate. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
So I think if you go through life kind of knowing that at any time what you say could be heard,
Yes.
you just want to make sure that so I think that's really all it comes down to. But then once you get talking, you're so easy to talk to that,
Oh, thank you.
and we seem to be able to talk very well. So I enjoy this.
All right,
Thank
girl.
you.
Well, you have a great Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween, everybody.
Everybody say thank you. Hashtag thank you, BZ. You have
Be sure to post this so I can later come back and listen and look.
I'm definitely going to post it depending on how long it is. What I may do is I may like cut off the first part where I was live and just have like once you joined
like
and just
section.
put that by itself. Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And people,
it's always fun to go back and listen to yourself talk.
And don't be cringy though, okay? Because you sound wonderful. Don't y'all think she sounded great? Don't y'all think she's got a great voice, doesn't she?
Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's not cringy. You're going to experience it as that. Cringy. You're going to listen and you're going to go, oh my God, why do I sound like that? But I promise you, it's great. It's wonderful.
Awesome. Well, have a good Halloween. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, BZ. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that was so fun, wasn't it? BZ is a total sweetheart. I told y'all that she was. And she is just as beautiful as she is sweet and intelligent and, kind. So she's great, truly great. And she is very good friends with AK and Gonzo. And that probably ought to tell you the caliber of people that AK and Gonzo are, because she's genuine. She's the real deal, right? So are you going to believe a bunch of lies from somebody who's just worried about being famous and, getting money? Or are you going to believe this group of people that dedicate their own money, their weekends, their own time, and their own energy to go find missing children and missing people, right? People, pay attention to what people do. When someone shows you who they are, believe them, right? Okay. All right. I hope you guys have like a great and happy and fun Halloween. Probably me and Piddle and Bill are just going to probably go to one of the neighborhoods, one of the subdivisions, and just kind of drive through slowly and look at all the cute little kids, because we don't have any little babies. We just have a whole bunch of fur babies. So anyway, those of you that have children, please enjoy it. Please take lots of photographs, because the time goes by way too fast. Before you know it, you'll be at a wedding and you'll have tears and you'll think, I'm so damn proud of both my kids. Okay. I love all y'all. Y'all are awesome. Y'all have a great Halloween. Bye.